this report from yesterday from Matt Lombardo, who I'd never heard of. God love Matt Lombardo. He's got a lot of followers over in Philly. He said that he's heard that the Niners coaches have been continually underwhelmed. His phrase, by Trey Lance. I'm sure you saw this. Buy or sell.
I did.
This report.
I'm selling it. It seems borderline ridiculous on some level, because this is an organization that has, underneath the Lynch and Shanahan era, not leaked information unless it is intentional. And this is not the type of intentional information that this organization wants to put out there. They're attempting to build up Trey Lance. They're not going to tear him down by leaking something like this. This just, to me, flies in the face of everything the 49ers organization has done with his the idea of putting information out there to the public.
I hear what you're saying. I don't have a life-size picture of Jed York or John Lynch sort of like having this coordinated narrative that they tell everyone in the world and then being like, hey, Matt Lombardo, let me tell you how we really feel. That's not what I think is. Here's what I think. Let me give Matt Lombardo the benefit of the doubt, because he's just a journalist. I don't think he's just some fraud trying to get attention. I think he's a journalist who probably heard something from someone. Yeah. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here, okay? Because a lot of people dismiss me when I hear information, so I'm not gonna do that. I don't even know who he is. Someone probably told him something. The way I'm thinking is that it's someone who's not in the organization anymore.
Interesting.
If I'm just benefit of the doubt here, the guy probably heard something. I'm thinking it's someone maybe with an axe to grind, maybe with nothing to hold back anymore. Didn't say it on the record. Someone who's not in the organization anymore. We're talking coaches. He mentioned coaches. A lot of coaches left the organization.
There's a couple options.
So to me, I think there's probably something to this. I'm guessing there was a big split in opinion last year on, should Trey Lance be here? Why is he here? Do we need him? Is he good? Will he be good? I bet you there was a whole set of opinions inside the organization. We know there was outside. And I'm guessing maybe one coach, a couple maybe, were like, I don't see it. And I'm guessing those coaches are gone. And I'm guessing the coaches they brought in this year are enthusiastic, like Brian Griese. Imagine the things he had to say about Trey Lance to get this job.
Right. I'm sure they were glowing, my friend.
Anthony Lynn, imagine the things he had to say to get this job about Lance. So maybe this was true at one time, but I'm guessing the coaches that felt this way, Kyle probably knows they feel this way and probably got them out of the organization because that's his job. Once you pick Trey Lance, you got to surround him with people who are all in.
That makes a ton of sense. I mean, you have a couple of coaches that are gone that would have had close access, a couple that may have an axe to grind. I mean, John Embry comes to mind, right? I mean, the way in which that unfolded didn't seem totally fair to him, asking him to take a pretty huge pay cut. I'm not saying that this would have come from John Embry, but just as a hypothetical, there are some voices out there where you could see them being a little bit irritated putting this information out.
There's also Wes Welker, who's gone. There's also the quarterback coach.
Rich Scangarello.
This is the guy who worked with the quarterbacks. And I'm not accusing Scangarello. I have no freaking idea. But I do know that Scangarello was here in 2017, and he worked with Jimmy.
Right.
He got a job. Right. Jimmy won those 5 games. Everyone was like, wow, Scangarello's great. Scangarello prepared him. And off of that 5-game thing, he became an offensive coordinator for the Broncos. Now, he failed in a year, got fired. He was awful. But then when the Niners brought him back last year, it was to work with Jimmy.
Yes.
That's, you know what I'm saying? So I could see him being like, why is this? Because Trey Lance is essentially, his presence in the organization was spelling the end of Rich Scangarello's. You're not here.
It did, right?
Jimmy? Well, Jimmy's going to be gone soon, and so are you.
Yeah. It was a 1-year assignment, right? He came in to work with Jimmy. Jimmy was on the way out. So you could see that being a little bit of an axe to grind. I go back to, what the organization has been putting out to refute what came out in this report. And the team sources, Matt Mayoko at the Super Bowl speaking with Jay Glazer, he had to say, I heard they love him. They're enamored with him. He does some things in practice that makes you go, oh my goodness. Another conversation with Peter, I'm forgetting the last name, but another individual that he spoke with at Super Bowl week. Again, glowing things to say. And even this gentleman, this reporter, came out. His opinion on Trey Lance is glowing. After the draft, he comes out to say, I love Trey Lance's arm strength and ability to make big-time throws on the run as an ideal scheme fit in Kyle Shanahan's offense. The 49ers made the right call by a country mile at number 3.
I just don't like underwhelmed in what context,
right?
Like he's not ready to. If they traded up thinking he's going to be Patrick Mahomes and more, then maybe they're underwhelmed. Maybe he's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. But if it's like, should we make him the starter over Jimmy? Like, to me, he always should have been the starter over Jimmy. The reason they went with Jimmy is because Trey was a rookie and they felt they had a championship roster and they went with the known quantity. But if it was just based on numbers, Trey had better numbers in training camp. I just checked out the preseason numbers. He had better numbers in preseason. He had more yards per attempt. He had more touchdowns, the same number of picks, a better quarterback rating. So but the thing is, he broke his finger, right?
Right.
He might have won the job. We'll never know what happened. I don't understand this whole underwhelmed thing. Like, if they're underwhelmed with Lance, how do they feel about Jimmy? Do they hate Jimmy? I mean, what is the context here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. And earlier, the name that escaped me was Peter King was the other individual that was interviewed during the Super Bowl week. Sure. I agree. When I look at Lance, you look at the preseason, almost beat out Jimmy Garoppolo. You look at the regular season, they were a hair's breadth away from making the switch from Jimmy to Trey. I mean, you don't do that with
touchdown pass of the season. Sorry.
Right. No, you just don't. You don't make that switch if you're underwhelmed. And how are you underwhelmed at this point with what that you've seen? I mean, with his practice, because we all saw what he did from week 5 to week 17. We all saw the progression and the way in which he played in the second half against the Houston Texans. So that's all evidence that we have access to.
Also, I feel like last year Trey Lance was just a total victim of over-analysis.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People are talking about the velocity, his touch, the wobbles on his passes. Like, he's a rookie. Hold on. If you go back and just look at the stats with all the bias out, like everyone, it doesn't look good on film. He appeared in 3 games. Okay.
Yeah.
He threw at least 15 passes in all 3. 2 of the games, his quarterback rating was over 115. What more do you want from a rookie? I mean, one of the starts was rough against Arizona. It was his first start. The other 2 appearances, while it was a mixed showing on film, the end result was really good. So I definitely Jimmy Garoppolo could do something. Like, he had 3 appearances, 2 were over 150. Like, the other rookies, Davis Mills had 3 over 115 in 12 games, and Mac Jones had 4 in 17 games. So, really, like, how are they underwhelmed? I thought he looked pretty freaking great. The game against Houston, people say, "Oh, it's Houston. It was a must-win game. They were losing at halftime." He eviscerated them in the second.
Yeah, they had just beaten the Chargers. I mean. Yeah. People talk about struggling teams in the NFL as if they're junior varsity, as if they're college level. That's just not true. The difference between the best teams and the worst teams in the NFL is a couple of star players, right? You see worst to first transitions in the NFL every single year. It's because of the parity. It's because these teams are so close. So I won't accept that argument that the game against the Texans somehow doesn't count.
Yeah, and like, I feel like this reporter or his source and people that believe this theory is really think that Trey's going to be so bad that a guy like Nate Sudfeld is going to end up being better because he knows how to play the position the right way. There's no way that Nate Sudfeld would have beaten the Houston Texans week 16 with the season on the line. It wouldn't have happened. There's no way.
Yeah. Story like this seems like confirmation bias to most people, that you came in with an opinion one way or the other. And this type of a story isn't going to sway you one way or the other. It's just going to give you either evidence to back up what you already believed, or you're going to dismiss it, as I have, because I have faith in Trey Lance and what I've seen with my own 2 eyes.
I mean, he does have a lot to prove, but I expect he's going to do well this offseason. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think Brian Griese's never seen him practice.
No.
Anthony Lynn has never seen him practice. So I don't think those guys are underwhelmed, overwhelmed, regular whelmed. There's no whelm going on.
Zero whelm.
Zero whelm. They got to get to know this guy. So this seems like, at best, old news.
I agree. I concur.